What do you think happens to the price of Bitcoin if the strategic Bitcoin reserve thing does go through in the United States? It looks like it's going to happen on the state level before the federal level.
As Adam Back says, that's the path to 1 million. Bitcoin has 17x in the past. There is no upper bound to Bitcoin. So there are people that talk about diminishing returns, right? But if it's a step change, just like the failure of the German mark, it's not a gradual thing and there's no upper bound. It's just gone. And you use a new thing now, right? It's like, yeah, we don't use horses for transportation anymore. We came here on a car, on airplanes and whatnot. So we used to use the new thing. And Bitcoin is that new thing because it's 100, if not 1,000 times better than anything else we've used as money in human history. But back to the point, what do we have? We have MicroStrategy buying nonstop. We have ETFs, which are a doorway to legacy fiat money. If you go back to all the previous bull runs, where we get bogged down is the exchanges, because that's the touch point, right? That's how you convert fiat into Bitcoin. And if you remember back in the old bull runs, it was like Kraken's backlog for KYCing people was 3 months long. Coinbase, same thing. That's the bottleneck, because to comply as an exchange, you have to KYC everyone, and you don't keep 1,000-person KYC team, right? You have to keep a team that you can feed, and you can't scale it up that quickly. So that's kind of where it tapers off. But with the ETFs, there is no bottleneck anymore. Central banks can buy ETFs. So any demand for Bitcoin can now be satiated without any problem whatsoever. And that is really big. That's why actually I thought 2024 was going to be the year we hit 1 million, because I don't think people fully understand how big that is. Central banks can buy ETFs. There is no barrier for fiat money entering Bitcoin. But I think this year we'll hit it, since we missed last year. But you have MicroStrategy, you have ETFs, you have the removal of the barrier, you have nation states, and what else? There's just so much going on, like real adoption of Bitcoin. So I just can't see it not hitting 1 million this year. And the other thing is, you see a lot of people predicting prices, right? They like to be cautious and realistic and say, yeah, it can get to 150. It can get to 200. It can get to 250. Because I think they want to sound reasonable. Nobody wants to be the crazy guy saying it's going to 10x, like me. They want to be, I'm a serious person with realistic projections. But Bitcoin is not a realistic thing. It's a zero-sum game. Either you're going to use Bitcoin or you're going to starve. So it's all or none. And when you get to different levels, like when you get to 100K, when you get to 100K, it's different, right? When you get to 200K, the world again looks very, very different. Just close your eyes and imagine, what does the world look like when Bitcoin is at 500K? That's you're reaching half of gold's market cap at that point, That will demonetize gold if it doesn't get demonetized earlier, because there's talk of the US selling gold to buy Bitcoin to fund their reserves, because that would take out their enemies who have been accumulating gold for the last decade, right? But disregard that. Bitcoin is sitting at 500K. We are the second largest asset now behind gold. It's a very different landscape. And at that point, do you think most people would still want to sell their Bitcoin to get fiat? Or would most people now insist on being paid in Bitcoin? I think it's the latter. So from there, you just 2x.
Yeah.
And then you're number one.
And it's interesting because I come from the bullish school of thought too, but my thought process is a little bit different. This cycle reminds me of 2017. And 2017, we went from $1,000 in January to the end of 2017, we went to 20K.
Yeah.
No one had any idea
it
was going to happen in January. In fact, in January, the price stayed at $1,000.
Yeah.
2021 happened, and I believe 2021 was artificially cut short because of the China mining ban, because of FTX, because of Celsius.
Yeah.
And I think people have forgotten what a true Bitcoin bull market feels like.
Yeah.
and I'm getting the same type of kind of consensus understanding, which is 150K, 200K Bitcoin. You and I both know that when everybody on X or Twitter is calling for the same price predictions, Bitcoin does the exact effing opposite. So either we're going to underperform, which I doubt, or we're going to overperform, which no one is expecting more than 200,000, more than 300,000. That's my thought process at kind of getting to, I don't know if it's 1 million, but 500,000, I wouldn't be surprised at all if we hit it this year.
I think it's this, I don't know what to call it. It's like a precipice effect, you know? Like you're standing on the edge of the cliff. People are scared because, yeah, we can fall a lot from 100K. And that's why you kind of like hover at that area for a while, because it's scary looking down. Like, what if we go to 70? And you remember when we had a little dip, everyone was saying, oh, we're going to go back to 70.
Yeah.
But when things solidify, then you kind of go up. And everyone that was panicking and looking down, looking off that precipice, they've been left behind already. And because the supply is so limited right now and the demand is so high, it's just going to shoot up. And you're going to see that kind of 2017 face melting shock and awe rise in Bitcoin price.
Absolutely. And I think the reason that I would, it's because no one's seeing it. Everyone has, again, this general consensus of the price. No one's really expecting it. And Bitcoin tends to do the things that everyone least expects, especially if this strategic Bitcoin reserve thing comes to fruition. Like, I think it's going to happen, you know, the price is just going to 2x or 3x overnight.
Yeah.
Because it's essentially a rubber stamp of approval by the most powerful government on the face of the planet. Now, my question to you is, what happens when central banks that have the ability to essentially create money out of nothing start using that ability to buy something that has absolute scarcity like Bitcoin?
Omega candles.
LA is coming out of a volcano.
Perhaps.
So, yeah, but what happens? What breaks?
I think they can go for a while and print, because the world seems to takes time to adjust. If you look back at the lockdowns and the pandemic or plandemic, when they shut everything down, the prices didn't jump. It took 2 to 3 years, right, for kind of the normal person to understand, or even anybody in the supply chain to understand what's fully happened. And then you saw the inflation come. So all the money printing, the shutdown of economies, it didn't really kick in until 2 years later almost, right? And I think it's the same. Everything, it takes time for the world to adjust to. They haven't really fully adjusted or understood the impact of the ETFs and central banks being able to gain exposure to the ETFs. We also forgot to talk about the Czech Republic Bank, central bank. They've approved buying now too. So what you're talking about, Nico, is it's like on the cusp. But yeah, they can probably print and buy for some time, because the ordinary man in the street is not going to fully understand what's going on. The pot is boiling too slowly for them to realize. If they would have understood the impact, you know, they would have probably bought Bitcoin already just from trying to hedge against inflation alone.
Yeah. Do you think cycles are dead?
I don't really believe in cycles. I think if you flip a coin 4 times and then you flip it 4 times and you get the same pattern, it's a coincidence, because each flip is independent. And there are a lot of arguments of why we have cycles, such as it's tied to the halving or it's tied to elections. But again, I believe in phase transitions, step changes. You just go to Bitcoin. And when you go to Bitcoin, there's no cycle. And this is why the power law guys hate me, because they expect it's going to progress in a meaningful way. Whereas my prediction with Omega candles and everything is it.
What is an Omega candle?
An Omega candle is 100,000
$100,000 candle
on a day.
And you think that's going to happen sooner rather than later?
It's already happening in other trading pairs.
Oh, that's right.
Egyptian pound, Turkish lira to Bitcoin, they already have Omega candles.
Okay. This is very fitting, talking about Omega candles in front of an Omega volcano.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that you don't believe in diminishing returns.
I don't believe in diminishing returns.
Okay.
What's the diminishing returns on air travel from boat travel, you know? We just have air travel. You take boats for leisure now.
Yeah.
Need liquidity without having to sell your Bitcoin? For more than 6 years now, Ledn has been the trusted choice for Bitcoin-backed lending with transparency, security, and trust at their core. I absolutely love these guys, and I personally have not only an account with them, but also a loan. And some of the key features that I love about Ledn is the fact that there are no monthly payments. You pay at the end of the term. You also have the ability to roll over the loan as well, and you can pay it back whenever you want. Essentially what they do is that they help their clients unlock the liquidity of their BTC, allowing you to HODL while still accessing the wealth of your Bitcoin. They've been battle tested with their focus on transparency, security, and trust, allowing them to build a proven track record of client success and security, helping tens of thousands of clients harness the value of their digital assets with confidence and peace of mind. Learn more about what your BTC can do for you. Check out Ledn.io today.